The Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Join the excitement and sign up to Jeff Banks online now to get 10% off any net losses returned as cash after your first month of betting up to £500 at jeffbanks.bet. Are we going to Leopardstown? Yes, we are. To Leopardstown for the Irish Champions Week Festival. Irish Champions Festival, as it's now called. Are you going, Peter?
No, not this year.
Yeah.
Just didn't work out for me. Are you?
No, I don't think when Mam's in hospital it would be a good idea to be going, cheerio, see you later. I'll put the racing TV on for you in your room. No, but hey.
Are you going to ask me if I'm going?
Andy, have you got your VIP pass for Irish Champions Festival?
No, sorry, I haven't. No, sorry.
Dang it. Okay, we'll get you hooked up with one sooner rather than later. Wanted to talk about the Future Champions race, or the KPMG Champion Juvenile Stakes. It attracted 4 runners. That's not Leopardstown's fault, but I don't understand how €150,000 Group 2, admittedly one that has been won 9 times out of the last 11 runnings by Aidan O'Brien, but still, 4 horses for this? What the hell is going on? Delacroix is the favourite for Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore, 5-4. Green Impact, to beat him, is a 2-1 shot. He also beat Bernard Shaw, who's 3s, and the outside of the field is Joseph O'Brien's Green Triangle for Sweden Manir, a 14-1 shot. Peter, what are your thoughts on a very intriguing juvenile race, but unfortunately no each-way betting because there's only 4 bloody runners?
Yeah, well, I mean, before the final decks came out, there was 12 in it. The O'Briens had 9 of them between them. Aidan had 5, Joseph had 4. So they had nearly everything in it. We're down to 4. O'Brien has 2, Joseph has 1, and Harrington has the other. I think O'Brien's going to get a lot of winners this week.
Just as he's about to tell us about all the winners Ballydoyle are going to have.
And I think it's going to be the favourite, Delacroix. I know you're a fan of Bernard Shaw, Emmet, and I respect him as well. I couldn't put you off him, but I just think the extra race Delacroix, the winning form of beating Acapulco Bay. Acapulco Bay went on to win after that as well. I know he has form to find with Green Impact, but the fact that, as I said, O'Brien had 5 in it and he's just running 2, he had plenty of options. That's enough for me to go with one of his. And I'm going to go with Delacroix because I just think Ryan Moore rides Leopardstown exceptionally well. O'Brien and Moore, Leopardstown and Curragh, they just rule those tracks in the top races. And I think they're going to start off their Champions Weekend with a win for the both of them. I think he's a likeable horse. I think he's going to progress. The last time he ran, he was a bit upset in the stalls, so obviously that's a bit of a concern. And the time before that, he dwelt, so the start could be an issue for him. But you're dealing with Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien, so everything will be sorted, and I can see him, getting him off to a good start.
Is he the most likely winner? I'm not so sure. I've gone back and forth in this race quite a bit. I'm kind of thrown by the fact that there was only 4 declared. As I thought I was coming into this with a really great pick. Maybe it still is. I think Bernard Shaw is overpriced. Johnny Velasquez rode him on debut when Johnny was here in Ireland doing his tour. He rode his sire to victory in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and it just did not go to plan. Missed the break, then stumbled at the start. He's immediately on the back foot, and he's probably done well to finish 4th, beaten 5 lengths on his debut. That being said, that's one of the best maidens to be run in this country. That form has worked out incredibly well. Green Impact is runner-up. Obviously, he rematches. He's gone on to beat Delacroix in his maiden, so those 2 are back. The 3rd placed horse, Curragh Wood, finishes 2nd to the line in winter next time out with Ides of March back in 3rd. Behind Bernard Shaw was Black Forza, who's gone on to win a Group 2 at Goodwood. And Apples and Bananas was 6th. He's won a listed race in Deauville, and stable companions Rock of Cashel and Trinity College have both gone on to win maidens. Bernard Shaw himself was a big drifter on his debut, which is worrying, because if he's a superstar, why is he going off 11-1 first time up? But let's just say he needed it. Turns up to Dundalk for the same race that Capulet, who ends up being runner-up in this race last year, ran in, backed as though defeat is out of the question. And if you stop that race off the final turn, you're going to say, well, the Ammo horse is going to win, and it's a case of how far, because Wayne was just having to ask him for an effort. But suddenly the Ammo horse just runs all over the track. This fella is straight and true and obliterates the opposition. The further he went, the better he looked. I don't think he does things quickly, but he's a remorseless galloper. Declan McDonough should just go to the lead, make all. I don't think they'll catch him. I think he'll win.
Do you not think it's possible that he's a better dirt horse with that pedigree?
It's possible, but I think the good ground will really suit him. I think this track is going to suit him. And Aidan's used the all-weather for a lot of very good horses.
And do you think he'll make the running? I think Ryan will make the running from stall 1. I think he'll get that horse out.
I think Declan will make the running. And Ryan will take a lead from him. And then the question is, see, Shamey's not around anymore. And Shamey was very, very good at making all the efforts, but just, oh no, Luxembourg doesn't have quite enough at the end of this race. Oh, what a shame. Oh no, Adelaide River doesn't have quite enough at the end of this race. What a shame. Oh no, Capulet has come to the end of his run. He doesn't have quite enough in the tank. Oh, what can we do? Bernard Shaw made his debut in the same race that Glen Eagles and City of Troy won. So that's a race that Aidan O'Brien likes to win. There's some other good horses that Aidan's won that race with too. Your horse, Delacroix, made his debut in the same race that Camelot and Tower of London made their debuts in. And he won the same race that Diego Velasquez won last year before coming on to win this. So it's history repeating. Last year's 1-2 are coming from the exact same races they came to before running in this race. I'm going to go with Bernard Shaw. Higher time form figure. I think it's a significantly higher time form figure if I remember correctly. 108p compared to 99p in favour of Bernard Shaw. Go on, McDonough. Make all the running and obliterate him. Do it. And don't do a Shamey Heffernan on it, quietly riding towards the end. Actually use the Pro Cushion. Allegedly. To the Matron Stakes, this is going to be a cracker. I'm very much looking forward to hearing what you boys have got to say for this. So the Coolmore Matron Stakes, at the time of recording, Porta Fortuna with Jeff Banks bet is the 11-8 favourite. Fallen Angel, 3-1, the Irish 1,000 guineas winner, but she hasn't been seen since then. Ylang was 20-1 before the Ballydoyle Media Day and is now 5-1, 9-2 with Jeff. And Janice for Willie McCreary, who won this race 10 years ago for his first Group 1 victory, 7-1 shot, one of 2 runners. Stable jockey Billy Lee chooses to ride Verspatilio. I can only imagine that's because of some ownership connection. Surely he should be on the more exciting unexposed horse. Andy, what do you think for the Matron Stakes?
Well, I'll tell you what, the interesting thing here with the Matron Stakes is that you'd think Aidan O'Brien's won it 3 times, all right? But do you know who the sort of record trainer is in this race who's won it the most times?
Jessica Harrington?
John Dunlop, 4 wins. I know. I was like... Anyway.
Knowledge.
I thought obviously he's not got a runner, the late John Dunlop, top trainer. But yeah, O'Brien's got 3 here. And the money has come for Ylang, the Frankel filly. Was billed up to be sort of the next best thing, wasn't it, last year when she won the Fillies Mile? But was it 5th in the Guineas last time? It's a bit of an interesting ride, wasn't it? A bit of an interesting
ride.
They got a lot of media attention. So, look, the money's come. Course winner. Yeah, the form is there. If you go back to last season, the 5th in the Guineas wasn't too bad, but there's a lot of sort of questions to answer. Ryan is on it, and it's one of those horses where you look at the results on Saturday night, and you wouldn't be totally shocked, if she bounced back. But you are taking on a bit of trust there with those couple of bad runs recently. Fallen Angel's obviously been snapped up by the Watham racing team. Hasn't been out since winning the Irish 1,000 guineas. So that would be the worry for me. 111 days off. So yeah, slight concern there. So. It's just hard for me to get away from the favourite here, really. Porta Fortuna. I mean, 6 wins from its 10 starts, 2nd in the Guineas, only beating the Neck, backed that up massively since then, hasn't she? Winning the Coronation Stakes at RA and also the Falmouth, which was super impressive. Just under sort of 4 lengths there. The ground will be fine. If you want to sort of pick holes or find a little bit of a fall, you'll go, I think this is its first run at Leopardstown. So, you might be able to cling on to something there. Tom Marquand comes over for the ride. He was on board at Royal Ascot, so no problems there. So I just think it's just the obvious one. But I mean, of the bigger prices, you mentioned Janice as well, course winner, stepping up massively in grade. But I look back at her win last time out. Both of them have come here at Leopardstown over 7 furlongs. Took a bit of time to get going when pulled out. But I think the mile's going to suit. Was it a Group 3 last time as well? But it showed a great turn of foot, didn't she? And I think that, despite this being a step up, she's the least exposed in the race and the one sort of open to the most improvement. And with a couple of question marks against Fallen Angel and Ylang, she could easily take the old silver medal here behind Porta Fortuna for me.
I actually think she could win it, but I'll expand more on that in a few minutes. Peter, who do you like?
Well, we've 10 going to post, but I think there's a good bit of deadwood in this race. So I think you can. Well, when I say deadwood, they're very good horses in their own right. So
they've no chance of winning, though.
Well, yeah, I'd be very surprised if there's 5 or 6. I'd be very surprised if they won it. I would have it down between Porta Fortuna and Fallen Angel. You'd have to respect Janice as well, as you guys said. She could literally, she falls under the anything category. And of course, you have to respect Ridemore and Aidan O'Brien, whatever they run in a weekend like this. But in saying all that, I'd be surprised if one of the top 2 don't win it, Porta Fortuna and Fallen Angel. And as Andy just said there, Fallen Angel's coming off 3.5 month break. I don't know if there was an injury there or what it was. I didn't really look into it, but I think Porta Fortuna is a very, very solid horse, and I think she's going to take a lot of beating. And I would nearly say I'd be surprised if she didn't win. And I think as favourites go over the weekend, I think she's one of the solid favourites. And she turns up nearly at every big race. I mean, let's go through her form here. I think she was unbeaten.
She's never been out of the first 3 in all of her starts. She's won 6 of her 10 starts and never out of the first 3.
She won her first 3 races, and then ever since then, I think it's all Group 1s. Am I right? Yeah. Group 1s for her last 7 races, and she's always been thereabouts. Now, I know Fallen Angel's beaten her before, but just I think the way the race is going to be run, I think the track, I think everything's going to suit her, and I think she'll take beating. But as I said, if there's one to beat her, it's possibly the Carl Burke horse, but I'd be going for Porta Fortuna in this. I think she's a rock solid filly, and she will take beating.
That was good yielding ground the day that Fallen Angel beat her.
Yeah.
Ylang
last year.
Yeah, it was. It was the Moigler, and Ylang was sent off the 6-5 favourite for that, and bombed spectacularly, and was then sent off the 11-8 favourite for the Oaks, and did a Auguste Rodin impression again, bombed. So I respect her. She's an insane price now. As in, you are insane if you're backing Ylang at 9-2. If you got the 20s last week, great. If you got the 10s, I'd say fair play. Does that appeal to you at all? 9-2.
Well, what I'm seeing here is 13-2. Look, I could never rule out Ryan Moore for Aidan O'Brien at this weekend. I've seen it happen before with horses like this that have kind of lost their form a little bit, and all of a sudden they turn back, to the horse they were. So would it surprise me if she comes and wins this race? Absolutely not. So I won't be backing her, because I think either Fallen Angel or Porta Fortuna will win it. And I think they're both rock solid horses. And as I said, Porta Fortuna would be my pick. But there's nothing that would surprise me. If anything wins from Aidan O'Brien this weekend, I wouldn't be surprised with any of his horses.
Yeah, it's a big weekend for the Aidan O'Brien yard as well.
Especially Ryan Moore riding them,
Yeah.
So, and the fact we're all talking about the ride she got the last time. I mean, Aidan's kind of used it, even with Bedtime Story, who we're going to talk about later on. He's ran a few horses of late where, rather than gallop them at home, he's been running them in the track. So, he knows what he's doing. That could all be leading to today.
That run the last day reminded me an awful. Was it the Rockfell? Like, she had bombed out in the Moigler. They took her to the Rockfell. And it was just, we're rebuilding your confidence. Like, she was never really put in the race to go and win it. But you knew from that run in the Rockville, oh, she'll win the Fillies Mile now. And that's what happened. It was the Rockville, wasn't it? Why don't I just...
I think, hold on, I'll tell you now.
It was the Rockville. I should have just trusted my bloody
yeah.
mind, but no, I had to doubt myself.
Carla's Way won it,
So, look, I'll say this. It's a similar thing to what they did last year, and it worked out very well for them. She won a Group 1 over a mile. Maybe it's the same thing. I remember saying to Aidan O'Brien on this show last year, well, she's more of an Oaks filly. She wouldn't have the speed for the Guineas. And instantly he was like, oh, no, you're completely wrong there. I was like, no, she is a Guineas filly. And in hindsight, like, she's only beaten a length. There was 2 horses in that race who didn't have race fitness on their side. Porter Fortuna, who I think if she'd had, would have won. As in the first 5, and Ylang Ylang. The others were all race fit. So that's a huge run from her that day. And then they've backed her as though defeats out of the question in the Oaks, and for whatever reason hasn't worked out. So look, maybe she goes and wins. I think Janice is really interesting here as a 7-1 shot. I think we're getting 8s with Jeff. Jeff Banksbet is going 8-1 about William McCreary's horse. Great. She's 2 from 2 over the course. She only had the 2 starts, but they're all over. They're all over 7 at Leopardstown.
She'd have to be some filly though to win this race with only 2 runs. I mean, you look at Porter Fortuna, 6-7 races in Group 1s. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, that's the thing. If Porter Fortuna runs her race, then I think you're playing for second, essentially. I mean, look, talk about Fallen Angel. Aside from the fact that she beat her on good yielding ground last year, if you wanted to discard the 1,000 Guineas run of Fallen Angel, just go, that was an off day, don't mind it. On a line, technically speaking, on a line through a Lilac Rolla, she needs to improve to be able to beat Porter Fortuna. And I don't like the fact that she hasn't been seen since the Irish 1,000 Guineas.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Why have you missed so much racing? So she's had some kind of a setback. Maybe she goes, maybe she bounces back and wins. Janice, I think, is just, I completely agree with you. She needs to improve, but she needed to improve to win that Group 3, and she did. The horse who is...
I meant more about experience, Emmet, because it's very hard to win in your 3rd run, beating a horse who's so competitive over Group 1 after Group 1 after Group 1. It's not going to be easy, you know?
No, it won't be. I think she has the each way upside to her, though, in that I can at least see her in the first 3, definitely. She might be good enough to win, because we don't know what her level of ability is. We don't know what the ceiling is for her. She beat... The 3rd was the favourite that day, the special one. She's gone on to win a valuable allowance race in Kentucky. I think that was the first ever runner outside of the country for the trainer and won. William McCreary won this race 10 years ago. I don't understand why Billy Lee's not on board. Even if there is like some ownership angle, it's still like, geez, I don't know what you're doing there, Billy. But look, maybe he'll be laughing at all of us and going, well, see, I was on the winner. I told you. I'd be amazed, though, if Verspatillo was good enough to win this. She was not well drawn, and Billy gave her a cracking ride, dropped her out, decided to come with a late run, and the turn of foot she showed was really, really impressive the other day at Leopardstown. I think she's a big, big player here, a huge player.
And if you see the interview afterwards as well with Billy Lee, I mean, he said that the horse could have won by at least 2 or 3 more lengths if he'd given it a crack. But yeah.
But that's a very interesting point, Emmet, that Billy's riding the other horse, who had decent form as a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
So you make an interesting point there.
And she's been second to Fallen Angel last year in the Moyglaire. She's was she 3rd? Yeah, she's classic placed in French 1,000 Guineas. She's 20-1 shot, as far as I can see.
We might
with
have stumbled across something here without even knowing it.
Yeah, and yet I'm not going for it. Look, I think Porter Fortuna is going to win. I think Janice is the one that has the more upside, and is the really intriguing scumbag each way bet here. Porter Fortuna wins this. She just wins.
Yeah, hopefully.
Best form in the race. Loves the ground. Dominic O'Brien is just absolutely mustard. He'll have her spot on. Tom Marquand will keep it simple. They'll just go and win. This is a paid advertisement from BetterHelp Therapy Online. What are your self-care non-negotiables? Maybe you never skip leg day or therapy day. When your schedule is packed with kids' activities, big work projects, and more, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you've no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. If you've ever been in therapy, then like me, you know how beneficial it can be. But it's not just for those who've experienced major trauma. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and setting boundaries. Therapy empowers you to be the best version of yourself. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a registered therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. With almost 5,000 therapists in the UK already, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a wide variety of expertise. Visit betterhelp.com/Furlong today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Furlong. This is a paid advertisement by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/Furlong to get 10% off your first month and get on your way to being your best self. Race of the day, Irish Champion Stakes. With all due respect to the St. Leger, this is the big one. And Jeff Banks' bet goes 5-4 about economics. Augusta Rodan for Aidan O'Brien, who has won 12 runnings of the Irish Champion Stakes, including the last 5. And out of the last 10, he's at least had the runner-up in the races that he didn't win. But you're getting 3-1 about last year's winner, Augusta Rodan. Can you see which way we're going with this? Los Angeles, 11-2. Ghost Rider, 7-1, who will love the ground. And Luxembourg, a winner of this race 2 years ago, and runner-up when he just didn't quite have enough in the tank. Oh no, Augusta Rodan's going to come and get us. Thanks, Jamie. 14-1. The Japanese rider Shin Emperor, who is a brother to Satsas, who was 4th in this race before going on to win the Arc. Maybe the Arc will be more his thing. A 16-1 shot. All right, Peter, this is a sensational running of the Irish Champion Stakes. Tell me how Augusta Rodan's going to win it.
Well, I won't, because he's not.
Oh.
So
you, sir, are wrong, but go on.
I was waiting, because obviously I had a look at this yesterday, and I was waiting to see the draw, because I thought the draw could play a big part in this race, because if economics had been drawn close to the rail, I would have had a bit of a worry for him, given O'Brien has so many in it, that they could have tried and put him in a pocket. And it's hard to fault economics, because while I do think he's going to improve for 2 furlongs more, and I'd love to see him over 12 furlongs, he's won Group 2 and another Group 2 over 10 furlongs, and he's won them very easily. I mean, in York, he was a little bit outpaced, but then when Tom pushed him, he came back on the bridle, and 2 furlongs or 2.5 furlongs to go, he was swinging. And then in Deauville, there was I think something kind of went a few lengths ahead of them, and he just mowed them there. The horse was second, J. Rabi. And he was kind of always getting there. I'm a big fan of this horse. I would have possibly been looking to take him on if he'd been drawn 1, 2, or 3, because I would have thought the O'Brien boys would have, possibly hemmed them in. And if I was taking him on, if that had happened, I would have gone for Ghost Rider, because I thought he was overpriced, and I think he's good each way value. But the fact that economics has the widest draw of all, which is 8, I think that's going to suit him really well, because Tom is going to have as much space as he needs. He's not going to get blocked. And I think he'll win. I think economics will win. And because of that, as I said, I was going to, if he was drawn lowish, the shape of the race would have been totally different. And I probably would have put up Ghost Rider each way. But Ghost Rider, 10 furlongs is as far as he wants to go. So he'll be looking for the line. I still think he's going to outrun his odds. I think he'll run a big race. Behind City of Troy, he was drawn the widest of them all at York, and actually ended up on the rail. So he lost a good bit of ground tacking over. Still ran a good race. He'd ran behind City of Troy before that in Sandown. He went on with City of Troy around 2 furlongs from home and just got a little bit tired again at the end. He brings rock solid form into this race, Ghost Rider. But I just think economics will, I think Tom has got the perfect draw for this horse. I think he's the best horse in the race. Goth Rodine, of course, you have to respect. On a going day, he's a very hard horse to beat. Will it be a going day? Probably, because he had off day the last day, and he doesn't normally have 2 off days in a row. And then you've Los Angeles, who we were talking about when we were talking about the Ledger. I'm a bit surprised seeing this horse drop back to 10 furlongs. I don't think that will suit him at all, but Aidan O'Brien thinks it will. So I think you're better off listening to Aidan O'Brien than myself, but I couldn't fancy him over 10 furlongs. The rest I don't really give a chance to. So yeah, I think the draw was crucial in this race, and I think Tom Marquand and William Haggis have got the perfect draw with economics being 8 out of 8, and I think he's going to stride away from them the last furlong here.
Okay, last 10 winners were previous Group 1 winners. Economics has obviously not had the opportunity to do that yet. He does look Group 1 class. Are you in agreement with Peter, Andy? Is this going to be Economics ending the reign of supremacy from Ballydoyle, or is Aidan O'Brien going to dish out a spanking to a British invader yet again?
No. Well, the last British winner was Roaring Lion in 2018 for the Gosdens. No, I'm against Peter here. I mean, Economics is obviously the one that's going to get the bulk of the market here. But I'll tell you why. I just think that the horse has just taken a bit of time to hit full speed in its races. Yes. And yes, at the line.
No, lads, come on.
No, he's right.
Again. Come, lads, watch York again. He did get outpaced, but then 2.5 furlongs to go, he was cantering all over them. Come on, boys.
I agree.
No.
At the line.
Can I just ask Peter? Yeah. Do you think that the reason he took so long to get into top gear against JRB the last day in Dove Hill was because he was ring rusty?
Possibly. Now, there was no way William Haggis was going to bring him there and not have him fit enough to do himself justice. I definitely think he was ring rusty, but I never thought he was going to lose that day. I don't know about you boys. I always knew he was going to get up. So anyway, Andy, sorry to interrupt you.
No, I agree with you. He always looked the winner. But Andy, just on that, see, I'm completely in agreement with you. I like Economics. I think he's a very, very exciting horse. I don't think this race is going to play to his strengths at all. I actually think this is...
That's why I said the draw, lads. The draw is crucial.
This is the wrong race for him to be in.
The draw has helped him a tad, but I mean, regardless, he's going to be held up at the back. That's just the way it runs, and it's just the track for me. I mean, it's quite a short straight at Leopardstown, isn't it?
Yes.
And you just think that is there going to be enough time for Economics?
He's going to get too far back.
Yeah,
Tom Marquand's not stupid, boys. Come on now.
Not stupid. But you still got to have the horse to sort of get in that first half of the race to be there to strike. I mean, you're right. I mean, at the line in its last 2 races, it's looked a superstar, hasn't it? But stepping up in grade, they're both Group 2s, and I'll just be worried about the straight. The Leopardstown straight.
Yeah.
Is it long enough? Economics is also it's going into the lion's den, if you like, the backyard of the O'Brien runners. They're not going to make it easy. They're going to it's going to be quite a tactical race, and one tiny little decision, wrong decision by Mark.
And what do you think the tactics will be? Because O'Brien has so many in it. I mean, if he sends off Hans Anderson
let me take this.
Okay, you tell us, Emmet.
Hans Anderson is going to go to the lead. He's going to be directly in behind him will be Luxembourg, and directly in behind him will be Los Angeles. And I don't think they're going to do what they did in the King George. I don't think Auguste Rodin will be as prominent, because I think that compromised.
How fast are they going to go?
They're going to go fast. Hans Anderson is going to fall out through the back of the telly as he always does, and when he does, Luxembourg will pick up the pace just like last year, and it won't be the steady, controlled gallop that he set at Epsom. This will be, I stay a mile 4. I want to turn this into a surging test, because not only does that benefit Luxembourg, it also benefits Los Angeles, who is going to need a surging gallop, and it will benefit Auguste Rodin. And those three Aidan O'Brien horses, as Hans Anderson sinks back through the field, which, by the way, who's on Hans Anderson again this weekend?
Chris Hayes.
Good man, Chris. Do you know what would be really helpful, Chris? And I'm asking you this as a personal favor. It would be really, really helpful if, as Hans Anderson starts to drop back and sink through the telly, if you could find where Tom Marquand is and just go, "Oh no, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry." Because it ain't show friends, it's show fucking business. Let's go. Let's do it. This is going to be a searching gallop. They're going to make this a proper test, and they're going to do it to benefit Auguste Rodin, but also to benefit Los Angeles. Luxembourg is going to pick it up probably from the halfway point when Hans Anderson cries enough and go for it. Los Angeles will go for it, but Auguste Rodin's going to have way too much of a turn of foot, just like he did at Epsom, just like he did in this race last year, just like he showed in the Breeders' Cup, just like he showed at Royal Ascot. That turn of foot's going to be too powerful, and Economics will get going too late. It'll be Aidan O'Brien 1, 2, 3. That's what's going to happen. It will end. Aidan O'Brien will have the 1, 2. Augusta Rodin wins. Los Angeles might very well be second, and Luxembourg will not be out of the first 3.
Well, it's interesting. The first time cheap pieces on Luxembourg as well, isn't there? You see,
very interesting.
So, I'm not so sure. I don't know how this race is going to work out tactics, lads. I don't know, because I think if they do that, I think that's just going to play into the hands of economics. So I don't know.
That's where Hans Andersen sinking back through the field and taking him.
He'll be too knackered. Economics will just zoom by. This is a serious horse, lads. You're making a big mistake here.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
Do you think the form of that Dante holds up, Peter?
Look how easy he won. As I said, my first impressions looking at this race was exactly like you, lads. I was thinking it's not great placement from Haggis. The track wouldn't suit. But then again, he's rocking up with a 11-8 favourite in a race, a champion stakes worth a serious amount of money. You know, it's what the race everyone wants to win. As I said as well, I'd love to see him over 12 furlongs. But when you watch that York win again, like he looked a little bit outpaced, but then he just came back on the bridle and the race was over after with 2 furlongs to go. So whilst he does appear as if he is a little bit, does get a little bit outpaced, he comes back on the bridle quick enough, lads. And I just think, I do agree with Andy, the track is a bit of a worry. The straight is not the longest in Leopardstown, but that's why I'm saying the draw is crucial. And now Tom McQuan can't, the lads can't screw him over, to have him hemmed in at the crucial time of the race. Tom is going to, I think he'll have him as close as he can without bursting him. That might be 4th, 5th or 6th. He's going to wind him up a bit earlier. And I imagine Tom's first aim would be turning in not to be more than a length and a half or 2 lengths behind him. And then he's just going to mow them down.
I think this is just the same as Rayath when he came over, and Vidani. Everyone's getting all excited. Oh, look, this foreign horse coming over to Ireland. They're gonna
this is different.
No, yeah, it is different. They were Group 1 winners. He's not.
No, this is a real deal. This is some horse, and you're going to see it.
He might.
Things against him.
By the way, whatever happened with that bloody nose? Do you remember he just vanished off the scene after his bloody nose in York? There was no sign of him whatsoever. Then finally he returns in a Group 2 at Deauville, and now you want to take 5 to 4 about, and you're being asked to take 5 to 4 about him in a race that has been won by, in the last 10 years, all the horses who've won it have had a previous Group 1 win on their CV, and you're taking on last year's defending champion, a horse who we know when he's good, he's exceptional. He's a 6-time Group 1 winner, the defending champion of this race.
And the 2022 champion.
Great point. Who was second in this race last year, beating a whisker when, for whatever reason, Jamie, it suited me, but for whatever reason, Jamie just didn't quite have enough in the tank towards the very end of the race. This market. I like economics a lot. This market is wrong. It's wrong.
I think economics is the only horse that can give City of Troy a race 10 furlongs, 12 furlongs. I don't think there's any other horse. I'm talking through. Obviously now they're running against elder horses, but even with the elders, I think I'd have economics just behind City of Troy. And I think the world is City of Troy. So I think you boys have got this wrong. I'm sorry to say.
I'll tell you this: if this race was being run at York, I'd be in agreement with you. If this race was being run at York, I actually probably would have backed economics against City of Troy, which would have been a stupid thing to do, by the way, because I'm pretty sure COT would have won anyway. But it's not at York. It's not at Ascot. It's not at Paris Longchamp. It's not at Deauville. It's Leopardstown in the Irish Champion Stakes. This is Aidan O'Brien's home turf. He will win this, and I'm pretty certain Augusta Rodin is the one who's going to do it. I'm dangerously bullish about this.
Okay, wow.
Fuck. I mean, Emmet, I'm with you.
Come on, Andy.
I'm the same page as you. I mean, it's the king of the comebacks, Augusta Rodin, isn't it? And I think this is going to be make or break. If it flops out here, do you think this will be the last time? We see the horse. There is talk of the Japan Cup, I think, at the end of November, but obviously it will need to bounce back here. But it either wins or it bombs out, isn't it? I mean, what is it? 6 Group 1s and 4 flopperoos. But there are sort of wranglings coming out of the O'Brien camp from what I've been reading, that he's back showing some form at home, and I don't know, I just think at the prices, I mean, if I know what you're saying, Peter, about the favourite economics, but just at 5-4, if it's going to go any shorter than that, I just think
there is not much value there, but it's one of those things, as a gambler, as a punter, you always bet value. Some people say just back who you think will win, but you're not going to make money by just backing who you think will win. You're going to make money by backing the value. Is he much value at 11-8? I presume, and I hope he'll drift. He's probably close enough to the right price, but I just think the draw is crucial. If he was drawn 1, 2 or 3, I would have been looking to take him on, but drawing 8, I think he wins.
But I mean, for me, I mean, Los Angeles, the trip, will it get home as well? But I mean, probably the safest bet, I mean, Emmet, you touched on it, is Ghostwriter. I mean, yes, the trip, getting home, it's going to be sort of running on fumes at the end, isn't it, Ghostwriter?
Yeah, but he's the value of the race.
The value, we've got the dead 8 in there. There's top 3. And it's the most solid form coming into the race. Third in the Juddmonte, only about 4 lengths behind City of Troy. Third in the Eclipse, fourth in in France. I mean, fourth in the Guineas as well. I just think that Ghostwriter, if you can sort of pick holes in the first 2 or first 3, really, if you throw Los Angeles in there, that Ghostwriter is the most solid but will it? I don't think it will win, but I think if you're looking at some kind of even money for a top 3 place or something like that, I don't know, it might even be a bit more than that.
But as you said as well, Andy, the last 100 yards, he's just he'll be looking for the line. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't give Los Angeles. I'd be if Los Angeles wins this, I'd be very surprised. I just don't know what he's doing in this race, but obviously Aiden does.
I have a theory.
What is it?
Well, there's two potential reasons he's in here. One is running him in the St. Ledger kills his prospects of being a commercial stallion, because you load into the gate for the St. Ledger, you're National Hunt Stallion straight away. I would argue Los Angeles headed down that route anyway, because he won a 10 furlong Group 1 as a 2-year-old, and there's such a pathetic attitude from the bloodstock industry these days that everything's got to be about precocious speed. It's bloody pathetic.
Yeah, agreed.
These are the best races. Yeah. The 10 furlong, 12 furlong, exactly. These are the best races. These are the races people want to win. And you keep buying those breeze up horses. You keep buying those precocious speed horses. Yeah, you'll get your quick fix, but what are you left with? Bugger all is what you're left with. So it's awful that's working out the way it is. But Aidan did say he could finish in the top 4 in the Irish Champion and then go for the Arc. And maybe Los Angeles is good enough to win the Arc. Maybe he is. But I'd say the fact that he won that 10 furlong Group 1 as a 2-year-old and ran in the Voltager just means that there's going to be snobbish attitudes going, no, he's a stayer. We'll take our mare somewhere else. So good luck with that. So the other reason he could be in here, and this is the Alex Jones conspiracy theory, I would say he was ridden aggressively in the Derby to the benefit of a stable companion. I think he will be ridden aggressively in this race to the benefit of a stable companion. And that does not mean that he was compromised or sacrificed. He finished 3rd in the Derby. He could finish 3rd in this, no problem. He could finish 2nd in this. He might win this. It might work out so well for him. Like his pedigree cross is interesting. Camelot out of a Dancilly mare. Blue Stocking was good enough to win a Group 1 over 10 furlongs. Maybe he can too. I think you're right. I think he does need further. I think he'd win the St. Ledger. But his presence in this race is going to be a significant advantage to Auguste Rodin, I think.
Yeah, well, look, don't get me wrong. I do think he'll run well, and I think he could well place, but I just can't see him having the gears to beat all of them in this race. I just can't.
The TriCast, Auguste Rodin beats Luxembourg, beats Los Angeles. Auguste Rodin beats Los Angeles, beats Luxembourg. Pays 169 to 1 and 142 to 1.
But it's not going to happen because Ghostwriter will come 3rd.
No, he won't. He won't. No. Peter's right about him. His stamina level will start to edge out, and this is going to be such a surge in gallop.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I think he could well place Ghost Rider. And as I said, if economics had drawn a low draw, I was going to go for him each way. So I'd put, if I was picking a tri-cast, I do economics to win. I would go with, okay, let's say O'Brien comes second with August Rodin and I Ghost Rider third.
If I was going to do it that way, I'd actually have Luxembourg in there for the tri-cast instead. Because I think he's the one who will be absolutely in the first three. And if economics wins, it's probably because Auguste Rodin's blown out.
I mean, you might take economics for a place, mightn't you?
I think the only way economics wins is if Auguste Rodin blows out.
We'll see.
I can't wait for this.
You're all wrong. You're all wrong, lads. You're all wrong.
The track will be the downfall.
Trish, clip this out. Clip this out. Either way, clip it out. Because either Andy and I are correct, in which case we're throwing it in Peter's face next week, or Peter's right and we're eating humble pie and have to go, yeah, well done, Peter.
Cheesecake. You're going to eat cheesecake, Emmet.
Okay, yeah, we can go for cheesecake as well. Probably just all over our faces, but...
And then we'll just remind him it was a even money shot anyway, and it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that snobbish, that horrible attitude of we're done finding the fight to forward. If you pick the winner of this race, you deserve. I admire anybody who's got a strong opinion on this race. It's a bloody hot race. 1, 2, 3 for the Irish Champion Stakes. Peter Michael is
economics. I'm a bit hazy about who's going to come second. I'll go with Auguste Rodin, and in third, Ghost Rider.
Andy.
I'm going to go the exact same as last year. Rodin to beat Luxembourg with Ghost Rider just hanging in there, running on fumes, but taking the bronze.
Auguste Rodin beats Luxembourg, beats Los Angeles. 1, 2, 3. It pays 169 to 1. Easy game. The Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet, where tradition meets cutting-edge technology, and with major flat racing festivals on the horizon and the new jump season about to kick off properly, it's time to leave behind the corporate bookmakers who don't value your loyalty. At this point, you've got to be fed up of their restrictions, endless affordability checks, and losing out on incentives just because you dare to win a bet. Jeff is the bookmaker fighting for your right to bet, giving you the freedom to enjoy British and Irish racing the way it should be, and you can watch all that racing on the Jeff Banks Bet app. So say goodbye to bookies who want you to lose your hard-earned money on their online casinos, and say yes to unbeatable odds and a bookmaker that truly values your custom, Jeff Banks Bet. Final Furlong podcast listeners who sign up to Jeff Banks online using the promo code FFP500 can get 10% of any net losses returned as cash after your first month of betting, up to £500. It's an offer you won't see anywhere else. Visit jeffbanks.bet today and enter promo code FFP500 and join the excitement. That's jeffbanks.bet using promo code FFP500, because your betting experience deserves more. The Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Join the excitement and sign up to Jeff Banks online now to get 10% off any net losses returned as cash after your first month of betting, up to £500 at jeffbanks.bet.